Hello everyone and welcome to another math video. Today we're going to be looking at comparing and ordering decimals. So we're going to put them in order from greatest to least, least to greatest, trying to figure out which one is bigger or smaller. A reminder that this is the full lesson version. So we will be going, in depth, covering a bunch of different types of examples. If you want the shorter version, where we just sort of go through it pretty quickly, I will link that in the description below. Before attempting this video, you should already sort of know how inequalities work. So if you need a refresher on that topic, I will link that in the description below. Okay. So here we go. We got decimals. It says put these numbers in order from least to greatest. Make sure you pay attention to whether it says greatest to least, least to greatest, because they'll flip that on you. Okay. And so we have our steps here. Step one, put the decimals in the place value chart. This is the place value chart right here. Okay. And so we just put the numbers in, and remember, these are your decimals. Okay, so that'll help you line it up nice and neat. So 7.28, 8.45, 7.42, 7.36. All right, step one is done. Step two, fill in any gaps with zero. By gaps, I don't mean put zeros here, here, here. What I mean by gaps are these numbers should line up perfectly. And in this case, they all line up, okay? I'm talking about vertically, up and down, right? So there's no gaps here, no gaps here, no gaps in this column, okay? Now, so step two is done. Step three, starting from the left, look for the smallest or biggest numbers. And what I mean is, in this problem, they ask us for least to greatest. So we're going to look for our smallest numbers and sort of our biggest numbers here. So starting from the left. So left column here, the ones. Okay, so we're looking here. So let's start with what's the biggest number? Well, the biggest number is the 8, which means that 8.45 is actually the greatest number. So this is actually going to be at the end of our list, right? We're putting in order from least to greatest. The biggest number is the 8.45. And let's cross it off now that we've used it. The rest of them all have 7s, okay? And if you look at step 4, it says, if the numbers are the same, go to the next column, all right? So in the ones column, we have all 7s. All right, so now let's look at the 10th position. Okay, and all of these are different numbers, so let's start with, we're going from least to greatest, so what's the smallest number in the 10th column, in the second column? Well, it's this number right here, the 2, right? Out of those numbers, 2, 3, 4, 2 is the smallest, so that means 7.28 is our smallest number on the list. Okay, let's cross it off. What's the next smallest number in that column? The 3. So that would mean my next number is 7.36. Cross it off. Process of elimination, the next number is 7.42, and we already did our biggest number, 8.45. Okay? Okay, here's our cool clock for today, which means that it's time for you to practice what you just learned. Go ahead and pause the video and try these two problems that are up on your screen. And when you're ready to check your answers, go ahead and unpause the video. Okay, now that you've had a chance to work these problems, let's check your answers. So we'll call this number 1. Should have said this is, let's see, 0.2. All right, so these are all lined up. You don't have to put in any gaps. This says least to greatest. So the biggest number in the ones column is the 1. Okay, so this is actually our biggest number, 1.7. That should go at the end of our list. Cross it off. The rest of them are zeros, so now we go to the next column, the 10th position. And let's look for the smallest number. Well, the smallest number is 2. So 0.2 is our smallest number. And next biggest number would be 6, so 0.6, 0.9, and we already did our biggest number. For number 2, these are inequality symbols. This is something that we covered in the previous lesson. And so 3.16, 3.46. If there's two decimal places, you could think of money, like $3.16, $3.46. That is one way to do it. Of course, you can also use your chart as well, right? If we put them in the chart, in the ones, they are tied, but in the tenths position, right, 4 is obviously bigger. And so 3.46 is the bigger number, so the monster wants to eat the 3.46. Okay, let's take a look at another problem here. This one's a little bit different. Maybe you notice that for this problem, they're not all, the decimals are different. So let's put these in our chart and see what happens. Okay, here are our numbers in the chart. And this is where we have to use that step where it said if there are any gaps, we need to fill them in with zeros. So like this is a gap, so I need a 0 here. This is a gap, this is a gap, this is a gap. Now all of the columns are lined up. And now we can just do our normal process. So it says from greatest to least. So let's start in this column. Biggest number is the 1. So our biggest number in this problem is 1.26. Notice that I'm not putting the extra 0, okay, because that's not how the problem started. 1.26, done with that one. The rest in the ones column are zeros. So let's go to the next column, the tenths column. And we're going from greatest to least. So we're looking for big numbers here. The biggest number is 6. So 0.62 is our next biggest number. Cross it off. The next biggest number is 0.2. Cross it off. Process of elimination. The smallest number on this list is 0.162. Okay, so if there are gaps, make sure to fill them in with zeros. Okay, it's time for you to practice what you just learned. Go ahead and pause the video and try these two problems, and when you're ready to check your answers, you can go ahead and unpause the video. Okay, now that you've had a chance to work these problems, let's go ahead and check your solutions. So you went ahead and put them in the chart and put zeros in all of the gaps. So then it said least to greatest. So the smallest number, biggest number is 4, okay, obviously, because you check this column. So 4 is going to go at the end of our list. Cross it off. Then in your next column, okay, you're looking for small numbers. Well, the smallest numbers are tied. So 4 and 4. So let's go to the next column. So now we go to the hundredths position. And the smallest number between the two ties, between this one and this one, the smallest number is 0. Okay, so 0.4 is the smallest number. And then obviously 0.45. Process of elimination, 0.574 goes here. For the second problem, let's use the money trick that we learned. So 693.30 has 2 decimal places, and then 693.30. Okay, so we make them both equal to money here, and these are the same, right? If you were to put them in the place value chart, it would be the same deal, right? If you line them up, it would be with zeros. So these are equal numbers, equal. Okay, last 3 types of problems that you might see on this lesson. Here we go. So starting with this one in the top left, number 1, which decimal is greater than the one shown in this diagram? So this decimal, right, this box that's shaded in is 1, then this is the second box, then this is a third box. The fourth box is not fully shaded. So you have to look at, okay, what is it split into? How many gaps are there? So there's 1, 2, hold on, let me clean that up a little bit. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And out of those 10, how many are filled? 7 of the 10 are filled. So this is 3 7/10. If you want to convert that to a decimal, you can go to a calculator and type 7 divided by 10. You can do it in your head, but this is 3.7. All right? So they're saying which decimal is greater than the one shown in this diagram. So let's put 3.7 in and let's compare them. Let's start with 3.72. Make them line up with zeros. And then which one is bigger here? Well, the 3.72 is bigger, right? Because here they're both 3, here they're both 7, but here the 2 is bigger, right? So we actually found our answer in the first one here, right? 3.72 is bigger than 3.70. All right, let's take a look at number 2 here. Type a digit that makes this sentence true. For these types of problems, there are lots of right answers, okay? So let's clean this up a little bit. They want to know what number would make this true. So for example, you have 510.39, and they're saying, remember, the monster eats the bigger number. So they're saying 510.39 has to be bigger than whatever number you put here. So let's try a number here. Like if I put 500 and let's put a 2 in, is 512.1 bigger than 510.39? Yes, right? 512 is obviously bigger than 510. Okay, so 2 would be a right answer. Obviously 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all of those answers would work. Would 1 work? Well, if we do 511.1 compared to 510.39, make them line up. Yes, 511 is bigger than, okay. And would 0 work? Would 0 work if you put a 0 in that spot? Oops. 510. All right, this one, 0 does not work. Okay, so there are some answers that you obviously do not work here. So any number 1 through 9 will work, but 0 does not work because tie in this column, same number in this column, but in this column, the 1 is smaller, right? Oh, shoot, I did this problem completely wrong. Okay, well, that happens. I read it. Okay, it wants to know what numbers are less than 510.39. So actually, the only right answer is 0. What am I saying? The only right number is 0, okay? Because I read it. So let's look at this right here. Let's look at this answer I wrote. I'm gonna highlight it here. Okay, look at this answer I wrote in green. The way you read this, 512.1 is less than 510.39. That is wrong, right? 512 is not less than 510. Okay, so the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are incorrect. The only right number that you can put here is the 0. The only number you can put there is 0. 510.1 is less than 510.39. My mistake. Okay, for number 3 here, it says select all the true sentences. And make sure you pay attention to that instruction there, right? Select all. So let's try and find answers that are automatically true or false and go from there. Oh, this symbol, when they have the line written underneath the inequality, the way you read that is this would be less than or equal to, okay? And this means greater than or equal to. So for example, looking at this last answer, 1.36 is greater than or equal to 1.36. Is that a true sentence? Well, 1.36 is equal to 1.36. So this answer does work, okay? This answer is correct. All right, let's look at, let's go from top to bottom. So I'm gonna look at this first answer. 189.100 is less than or equal to 0.68. 189.100 less than 0.68. No, that is totally false, right? Because if I line this up, okay, you look at the first column, 1 is bigger, right? So this is a false statement. This one is false. Okay, for number 2, 10.17, 10.5. 10.17, 10.50. And this says, remember the monster eats the bigger number, so this is saying that 10.5 is bigger than 10.17. Is that true? Well, we've got it on our chart. Let's take a look. These numbers are the same. These numbers are the same. These numbers are not the same. The smaller number is the 1. So this should say 10.17 is less than 10.5. That is true. Okay, so this one does work. And let's look at the last one here. When we put it on the chart, 6.926 for 0.600 to line it up. When I look at the ones column, the bigger number is the 6. And the monster is, the inequality is eating the bigger number. So this one does work, right? So in this problem, there are 3 right answers. Okay, it's time for you to practice these last few problems. Go ahead and pause the video and try these. And when you're ready to check your solutions, go ahead and unpause the video. Okay, now that you've had a chance to work these problems, let's go ahead and check your solutions. For number 1 here, it says select all. So is 0.7 equal to, no, this is false. This is true, right? 35.38 is equal to 35.38. This one is true because 7.3 is greater than 0, obviously. And this last one is also true. 65.579 is greater than 6.62. Okay? All right, for number 2, it says which decimals, be careful of the wording here. This is it doesn't say select all, but it says there are definitely more than one right answer here, right? Which decimals are less than the 1? So how did they split this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so this is 5 out of 10, right? Because they shaded in 5 columns out of the 10, which is 0.5. You could type 5 divided by 10 in your calculator. So 0.5, and it says which decimals are less than that? Well, this is more. This is less, so that one works. This is more, and this is more. Which decimals are less? So they're being a little tricky here. There's actually only one right answer, even though the way they worded it made it sound like there was more than one right answer. Okay? 0.5. All right, for number 3. What answers would work? 2 would work. 162.6 is less than, okay? 1 would work, and 0 would work. Those are the only correct answers. All right, that's it for today. I hope you all have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.